Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Can anyone hear me? I need to go to the comments. Hello. Okay. If you can hear me, can you put in the comments that you can hear me? I need to make sure that I'm loud and clear and everyone can hear me. Okay. Okay, we are good to go. You're good to go. You're good to go. All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday to all of you. Welcome to another amazing Saturday. I mean, we from the last webinar, we said that we are going to be having webinar every Saturday. So it's another Saturday, another amazing Saturday, another insightful webinar. So welcome everyone. My name is Stephanie Alexokenwa, and I'm hoping that my co-host joins me somehow because I'm meant to be anchoring with another person. But either way, you're going to go on and wait for him to join in. But yeah, my name is Stephanie Alexokenwa, and I am a software developer currently piloting the space of DevRel. And this webinar, I am really excited for because I mean, there is one question that always I know that any DevRel or developer advocate out there would definitely have this question, or probably at a point have asked this question: the difference between developer advocate and developer relations marketer. So this webinar, we are going to be diving deep and learning a lot of information. So if I were you, I'll get my pen and my jotter ready for this webinar. For this webinar, we'll be joined by two speakers. Our first speaker will be Fortune and Mo. Fortune is an amazing person, and he's a software engineer. Sorry for that pause. He's a software engineer, a technical writer who currently works as a developer relations engineer. That's our first speaker for today, and we are so excited to have him with us. It's such a pleasure to have him with us in our midst. And for us, our second speaker, Mo, we also have she was a former developer advocate at Flight Control, and she's currently a senior in University of Cincinnati. She's currently finishing her software engineering studies, and we are also excited to have her in our midst to give us loads of nuggets from her knowledge as a developer advocate and what we have today. So I would really love to be joined by our speaker if they're here. Hi, Fortune. If they're here, can they join in and let us hear about you? Hello, good morning.
Hi everyone. Can you guys hear me well?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I think I messed up something on my mic, but that's fine now.
yeah.
Yes, so hi Stephanie, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you doing? Happy Saturday.
Thanks. I'm a bit tired, but that's okay. I think that happens with Saturdays, I would say.
I know. Yeah.
But it's a
It's
pleasure to be here. Pleasure to meet you and everyone else here. I don't know how many seeing this, which is weird, but I guess just the two of us on this call.
yeah. For now, hopefully others join. But yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Can I ask that you introduce yourself, please? Yeah. Thank you.
Yes,
Just a
yeah, my
little
name is
bio.
Fortune. Yeah, my name is Fortune Ikechi. I am a software engineer and a technical writer, mostly focusing on technical product documentation. Before now, until Monday, I used to be a DevRel and Docs engineer at Storyblock. And before then, I was working for a number of people as a technical writer and a software engineer. And on Twitter, my name is CodeDog underscore. That is a weird name, but yeah, on Twitter, that's CodeDog underscore. So you can find me there, probably retweeting tech things. Or every once in a while, I talk about the fact that I have a cat or a dog when I play games. But yeah.
I love it. Say talk about cats and dogs. I love it. I'm not a fan of cats and dogs, so but I love it for you. But yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for sharing for that very insightful introduction. I wonder what you have in store for us to feed us if your introduction is that detailed. Well, thank you so much for an insightful introduction. I mean, we know about you now. But yeah, as we wait for our second speaker, which unfortunately hasn't joined us yet, I would like to just open the floor to you to share with us like what you have for us today. Thank you.
Okay. Um. Yes. So, can everyone see my screen? Oh, can everyone see the screen anyway? There's a slide on the screen. Yes. So, everyone, my name is Fortune Nikechi. Like I've already said, I am a software engineer and a technical writer who courses on technical product documentation. And before now, I used to be a docs and DevRel engineer at Storyblock. And again, you can find me on Twitter at codog_, and LinkedIn with the same name, Fortune Nikechi. Next slide. I do not. Yes. So basically, today we'll be talking about developer marketing, right? And the three things I'm probably focusing on is what are the strategies, the tools, and then what are the objectives of dev marketing, literally. And I just want to point out that dev marketing and DevRel, they look like brothers and sisters, but then they are not. So DevRel is like the umbrella term for a lot of things, for a technical writer, dev marketing, advocacy. There is content creation under there somewhere. There's technical developer marketing, which is again another thing. All of these are literally under DevRel umbrella. So what's the definition of developer marketing? I basically said that it focuses on reaching out and engaging software developers. And this is to either promote or to drive the adoption of tools and platforms, right? Or even technologies. And we see this with companies that are mostly SaaS products, which is software as a service product, where they try to have a team of people reach out to developers, build POCs. All of these things is done just to get developers to use the product, right? To adopt their company's tools as against other competitions in the market, right? So, and this could come in several ways. I'm going to explain those ways later on. But what is the importance of developer marketing, right? And this is really, really the epic point of what dev marketing really is for companies, right? Not just for developers, but for companies. So for companies, they basically ensure that their solutions or their tools are recognized and used by the developer community. And what this helps to do is that it basically helps with the product success and help with innovation. How does this help with success? The more people use your product, of course, there is the financial aspect of the success part. There's also the success part of like you get to be better because the more people use your product, they deliver more feedback on the product. This could help with iterating on that solution or on that to drive innovation and make it a better success. We see this with Next.js, with the way the Vexel ecosystem is driving it. People give that feedback on probably React Server component and all of those things, and they keep improving on it, right? And that is what success looks like for that particular tool and product. Next slide, please. Yes. So here we are to talk on the objectives of developer marketing. And again, you can see the marketing tagline image there. But the first thing I said was awareness, right? The entire idea of dev marketing is to make a product basically seen, right? Amongst the developer community. You can do this by showcasing the potential of that product, the benefits. And again, a lot of companies already do this. I would not mention names, but there's also like a point, a lot of companies that are right, oh, this is what database does, and against this other product which does this, we are attacking the problem this way, which is a better solution. We also see this in other ecosystems like the Web3 ecosystem. A lot of companies basically do the same thing. They provide an EVM and all those things. And we see them talk about it. We see them do meetups, do their developer advocates probably speak at conferences about this. We see a lot of people try to do hackathons around the product, right? And this is just trying to drive awareness. We're trying to make sure that developers know about it. Because the more developers know about it, the more they can go back to their companies and teams and talk about your product, right? The next thing is of engagement, right? And this is basically when the companies and the developer marketers try to engage with developers to basically see an active participation in the product. And what this helps is that it gives again feedback, like I said. And feedback is really, really necessary if you want to build a product that developers like. Because with more feedback comes innovation around your product. You get to fix certain loopholes that you probably did not see, your engineering team did not see, or even the in-house engineers and testers and QA and all those who did not see, right? With more people engaging with your product, you get more feedback. And with more feedback, you drive more adoption, which is the third point. Now, adoption of a product can be where people develop like or demonstrate the use case or how easy it is to use the product or even the value that the product brings for your team or your company. And this can be done again with several ways. But one of the ways I've seen people do this is one, they advocate of a certain company or the product, speak at events, they do workshops on how to use the product. This is what makes our own easier. We have a CLI that is just like a one line piece of code that fixes your thing, deploys your application in 2 seconds. All of these things is basically trying to do what? Show utility. Oh, you can use this, it's better, right? Or show the value of that particular product. Of course, value can come in either reducing the time spent on for your engineers or your developers, or even the ease of use for your team, right? You could show value by, oh, this team, you could use this, then your team is like all good. You don't have to worry about the time spent on builds and all of those things, right? Second. Now, the last point is the feedback loop, right? And dev marketing objectives can also be seen in feedback loops. Example is there is a lot of feedback that goes between trying to build a product, trying to refine that product, and again, trying to make sure the product is relevant in the community. And how this goes is that the dev marketers try to see, okay, what feedback or what is our community asking for around this product? What are they telling us that we've not seen, right? What are we doing wrong that with making our product better? And feedback can be gotten from several factors. You get feedback from your community on Discord or Slack or online communities. Like a lot of people come on Twitter and they write about a particular company's product that they use, and they're like, "I wish this was done better." These are all forms of feedback, right? And ways that dev marketers go to take feedback back to the company to make the product better. Feedback can also be gotten, for example, like we are probably on YouTube right now, and then I could be talking about several things, and I'm like, by the way, I don't think this has TypeScript support. And probably a dev marketer from the company could pick that up and like, why don't we give TypeScript support to our communities? And that becomes a feature to add. So feedback loop is like massively important to again get the product better, to refine it, to improve it. And this is done based on what developers need, right? What insights are developers giving, right? How are we listening to them? Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So what are the strategies for developer marketing? Number one, I would say is direct engagement, right? And this can be done by using social media, the forums, or even Discord channels, any online platform, basically to engage with and listen to developer communities. And I think a lot of companies do this. We see this in people who tweet about some passive product, like I said. I do that sometimes. And then a developer advocates on the company reaches out and like, oh, what are you struggling with? Let me help you. So by the way, you can use this around or use this approach, or you can try this method. Here is a piece of documentation that can help. So all of those things is a way to basically reach out to engage with the community. We also see this if you're a lot of Discord channels with some companies' products. There's always like a dev rel person or a dev advocate person in the team reaching out or even support, asking, okay, what are you struggling with? How can we help better? This is this new feature release. It does this. I know you've asked about this a while. This is what it does. And again, that's like direct engagement, right? It's a strategy for developer marketers. The next one will be educational content. And I see a lot of people already do this. You can write tutorials, write documentation, write articles, do videos, for example. All of this is just to educate and support your developers or your users, right? Which in case are always developers who use your products. That's the second strategy for marketing to developers. And the last stage is dev advocacy. And this is where the role dev advocates actually come from. So dev advocate basically to the company, they are the community because they represent the community of developers who use the product. But to the community, they are the company because they're the ones that the developers will reach out to and talk about their problems with the product. They're going to reach out to them and talk about what they do not like with the product or give feedbacks, for example. And then they are like the bridge between the company and the users and the developers who use that particular product. Another thing that dev advocate do is to represent the technology, right? To someone out there, you could be basically the product. They're like, oh, you're the one I have to reach out to talk about the product. And this could be done with two things in mind: either to promote the adoption of that product, right? To get more people to use the product, or even and to gather feedback from the product. So you see a lot of dev advocates, we always reach out to them to ask, oh, how do you guys do this? I think you guys will do better by doing this. I'm struggling with this. And then they go back to the company and they tell the company, oh, by the way, our developers are asking that we need to improve on this. We need to get this done. We need support for TS, support for a CLI tool that is better, and all of those things, right? And then when that is also done, dev advocate also go back to the users or the developers and they say, oh, by the way, this is done. You can test this now. I have a content, an article I wrote on how to do this. So that is again the last strategy I listed here on how to market to developers, right? Next slide, please. The next slide. Can somebody? 1 second. Yes. So here we wanted to talk about the tools. What are like the tools used by or used in developer marketing, right? So the first thing is the analytics tools, and all of this is just to ensure how do we measure engagement? How do we know how many people actually use or how the impact of our marketing efforts go? How do we know that what we're actually doing works, right? And analytics tools come in different formats. It could be how many people come to your documentation page. It could be certain metrics like how many people read the documentation, interacted with it. It could be how many people came for a workshop that a dev advocate probably hosted. It could be how many people probably engage with this, how many people are on Discord. And this thing basically depends on the team, the company, and the product, right? And how they measure their metrics for analytics. The second way is the social media platforms, right? This could be how many people are directly communicating with us, tagging us on social media, engaging with our post. How many people are basically talking about the products when our advocate or our DevRel engineers tweet or talk about it. And again, event management software. This could be through certain events. Like I know there are a lot of companies use Common Room to monitor this, right? How many people registered for a conference that we are sponsoring or hosting, a workshop that our advocate is teaching on? How many signed up or registered for a particular booth, right? How many people came to our booths in conferences or events? And that is the three ways that basically used to, again, analyze or monitor dev marketing and its use case. Basically, how does it work? How do we know the impact, right? Or the metrics of what we're actually doing when it comes to dev marketing, right? I'm going to go to the next slide. Yeah, so the role of content in dev marketing, I think this cannot be like overemphasized. First of all, before I go into the role of content, there's like types of content out there. There's blogs, there is videos, there's webinars. For the Web3 question, there's white papers, there is code samples. There's also like what we call POCs or proof of concept. Again, this is where you try to create a code or an integration that other engineers or developers can use to as a roadmap on how to build their own integration or work with your software. So that's also like another form of content, right? And all of this content is tailored particularly with one thing in mind. We want to get developers, we want to solve their needs. We need to figure out which type of content that developers prefer, right? Now, the second thing to point out is the content strategy, right? A lot of companies do this already, and this is probably something that goes in house. So most companies create a content strategy that aligns again with their developer community interest or the challenges or even the technical side of how much they need for a true engagement. Now, this can be seen with how certain companies focus more on having their advocates speak at events than create videos. And then other communities or products or companies preside or prefer that DevRels and advocates probably write more articles than probably videos, right? And some prefer all of them, videos, articles, go for events, all of those things. So that is again another content strategy, right? So you need to basically decide which of the strategies work for your product or your community. And again, a really important part, because at the end of the day, the important thing is we need to reach developers. We need to figure out which strategy works best for our developers. How do we get new people into the community for our product? How do we keep the ones that we have? How do we keep them interested? How do we keep them latched onto the product, right? The last thing is the distribution channel, right? A lot of platforms that dev marketers can use to basically handle developer marketing metrics is one is GitHub. GitHub could host your documentation depending on which docs strategy you're using. You could also host your POCs or your code samples. Again, in Stack Overflow, it could be like a place you answer questions that your developers have or users have. And then social media. And this could be where you deliver content. You could make tweet about your articles, your videos, your advocates, your events on Twitter, on is it X, on X, on I think a lot of people also use Reddit recently. I saw that. So on Reddit, depending on whichever social media platform, right, or distribution channel that works best for your community or your product. The next slide here is what are the roles of events in dev marketing? So we've talked about the role of content. The next is the role of events. Before that, I would like to point out the types of events that we have. So they have hackathons, which a lot of people go to, and usually very fun. You go there, you create in teams, you guys try to hack to build for a common objective. The next we have conferences, which this is a conference season where a lot of people have conferences. There's meetups, which is a smaller group of people. Conferences could be like a bit large, but meetups are a bit smaller, a bit more niche. There's webinars, right? And the entire goal of all of these events are to network, to educate, to launch a product, or just for community building, right? Now, to network, we see that with people try to go to Oscar, CTJs, all of those conferences, just meet other people that they want to meet, introduce themselves, try to connect with other engineers and developers in the space, right? There's also like education where companies come to these events to try to teach you about their product, about how to do this with these, how to integrate their products with other connections. There's also where they launch entire products, right? And I've seen a couple of people launch Web3 projects at certain events. That is also another type of thing. And then community building, we see this with companies like AWS Community Build, where they just have a meetup of all AWS fans and engineers and developers in the ecosystem who just come there to again talk about the community, how to do better, talk about the product, use cases, issues, and again take feedback for products like that. Now, what are the objectives of events, right? The entire idea is to focus on creating opportunities to network, right? We want to learn, we want to showcase new products, we want to make the community better, right? And these are like the objectives, like I said before, of these events. The objective closely aligns with the type of event, right? If you're going for an event where you want to basically educate, the objective will be to learn. The best practices for hosting a great event, right? As a developer marketer or a company's developer marketing strategy, the thing would be to ensure, first of all, that the event is planned properly, right? You want to make sure that your lightnings, your events, your speakers, everything works as it should. And this can be done with a team of volunteers or even a core team who make sure that the entire processes of the event is looked at and all the systems work in synergy and they work perfectly fine. Another thing would be to focus on engaging content, right? You can talk about more about your event, create Twitter posts, create LinkedIn posts, create links, and all of those things. You can create a flyer. Everything should make sure that you engage what engaging content basically that can get developers to come to that event. Another thing also be to have interactive formats. You see people do a lot of TikTok reels, or is it real? I don't know, TikTok, basically to show, oh, by the way, have you guys heard of these events? We'll be doing this and that. And again, that's just like a format for that is very interactive that developers have started looking into. You can also create follow-up strategies, right? When you make one post or one flyer, you don't stop there. You should have to make sure that you keep engaging again back with your follow-up application or back with your follow-up text or your post or your reel, whichever one works, or your LinkedIn post. You have to keep following up to the day of the event, right? And I'm going to go to the next slide, which is where we will conclude and you can ask questions. Yeah, so I basically just said that developer marketing is really, really important for tech companies, right? To engage with their developers, the users. They can use it to promote product adoption and also take feedbacks, right? From the engineers and developers who use these products. And now you can basically ask questions on the chat, and I should see that and answer them. Any questions?
Hi, Fashion. Oh my God. Thank you so much for such a very, very well loaded section that you have given us. Like my note is filled up. I don't know if any other person was writing, but I was writing. And my nose is literally like fused to the brim. But yeah, thank you like for all the important information that you have shared with us. Before like I go into the question part, right? I'm just going to apologize. Our second speaker is still yet to join us for unforeseen circumstances, but we are going to carry on regardless. Okay. So
Yeah.
if you joined us halfway, I'm just going to iterate what this webinar is all about. This webinar is first of all powered by DXM Mentorship, and it's a mentorship program, right, that prepares developers with the needs on skills that they need for a career in developer relations and advocacy. You can check. Hopefully, one of our teams is going to put the link for our for DX mentorship sites on the chat board so that you can go on and have a look and get more information. Okay. The topic for today's webinar is the difference. Literally, want to know the difference between developer advocates and developer advocate marketing, right? Because I, for myself, I thought there was a time that I thought they were the same thing. I'm not going to lie. There was a time that I thought that they were literally like the same thing. I didn't know that there was a difference at all. So, but now that I've gotten like more insight from Fortune's section on what, at least I know now what developer marketing entails, right? Now, before we go into questions, Fortune, I don't know if any other person have questions for you, but I have questions for you. But before we go into them, I'm just going to point out that there is one major thing that you talked about. Like I highlighted something that you spoke. You said, in terms of content strategy, right? Before you make this content, you have to be able to know your audience, right? Because you are able to reach your developers or the person that you or your audience if you know the type of audience you have. That's how you can be able to create this content for them, right? And
Mhm.
that's like the major point that I had on my notes. But yeah, but then can I ask, right? I don't know if any other person have question in the chat. Okay, so someone have question and it's coming from Peace, and she have asked, is there really a major difference between developer advocacy and developer marketing? What are the major difference and what are the major similarities?
Yeah. So I'm gonna yeah. So the first thing you should know is that there's always like a thin line between in the DevRel ecosystem, right? So
Yeah.
there's like a developer marketer, there's a dev advocate, there's a DevRel engineer, there's a technical
Mhm.
writer, and all those things. There's a
Yeah.
community manager. However, I think the difference is in the naming, I would say, just like straight to the point. A dev marketer is doing two things. He wants to make
Mhm.
sure that a product is adopted, he wants to make sure that a product is used, he's marketing the product to developers, right? Unlike regular marketers that tries to tell you, oh, this is shitty, like this product is bad, and our own is better, like our own solves our problem. A dev marketer doesn't necessarily do that. So they tell you, oh, this is amazing, but ours is just cool. Do you want to like try this just for the fun of trying it? And then when you
Yeah.
use it, you're like, oh, this is different, by the way, as a developer, like, oh, this is different. This is not what the
Yeah.
other competition does. They're like, yes, by the way, we also have this, which is a little different but faster. And all of a sudden, as a developer, you're like, okay, this is faster. Hmm. You know what?
Yeah.
Let me even see, let me see a sample code of how you, and
Yeah.
this is how the markets to developers, right? There's no putting down competition. There's just like we all can exist in one space kind of vibe, I would say. But a dev advocate does one thing. A dev advocate advocates for that product, right? This could be done in one or two ways, but I'm going to mention just one. A dev advocate makes sure that he takes feedback from a company, from a developer who uses that product, right? Or who wants to use it, or a new user. And then he tells you, user, oh, what is your problem with this? He goes back to the company and says, oh, by the way, this is what problem they're having. How can you make it better? And then the company delivers a new thing. It goes back to the developer, say, "Oh, by the way, this is a new way of doing this, or a better way. This is a new feature. Use this." And it does this in several ways. It could be through looking at communities. This could be through um, this could be through creating posts, writing articles, tutorials, blogs, doing videos. But the most important thing is to advocate for the product, to represent product. To every other person, a dev advocate is basically like the product itself. It's like the custodian of wisdom for the product, right? And that is what I would say is the major differences. However, again, a marketer may not necessarily be an advocate for the product, but they would know how to reach developers, how to do the whole metric thing, what works better, what kind of content. A developer will not be very concerned about that, right? As that is not its a net role, I would say, right? That is like the differences. Of course, both of them go to conferences, both of them probably talk about the products, both of them probably speak at events. Again, that is basically it. I don't know if that answers your question.
I actually think like you really answered the question, but I hope that answered your question, please. But I think like the one thing that pointed out is like developer marketer, they are like literally like selling you the product. But like for developer advocates are like trying to tell you to just try it out. It might work for you, you might like it, just try it out. Yeah,
Yeah,
just try just try it out and see for yourself. Like we're not promising you anything. We just want you to try it out. But
yeah.
yeah, I hope that answered. Another question is also coming, and it says, "Can a developer advocate work in more than one company at a time?" Because you know you have mentioned there are a lot of roles in this developer under this developer advocate, the community manager. So can you as a developer advocate be able to like pick up these different roles in different or multiple companies? What do you think?
Yeah, so this is like one of the issues I had when I started working as a DevRel engineer. My thought was like, can I, I mean, I should be able to, but the truth is that it's not advisable, I would say, right? I mean, some people already do it, but it's not very advisable. And I personally would not advise it because there's going to be, unless the products are in different ecosystems. I don't know if that makes sense. Although I usually do not advise working for multiple companies anyway. But unless the products are in different ecosystems, for example, you can have a product as a maybe a headless CMS or other product in the data field, and then you're advocating for a different product, maybe cybersecurity, and there is no link between them. Because at some point you're gonna have to choose which of the products you represent fully, and that's when the problem comes in. But unless they're in different ecosystems, I would not advise doing that. And this is a personal opinion. Yeah.
Okay, you've heard it now, everyone. You've heard it. You're not advised to pick up different roles in different companies, so that you not confuse yourself. you not end up shooting yourself on the leg. But yeah, and
Actually.
let me check if there is. let me know if there is any other question. Okay, another question. So I'm a technical writer hoping to go into developer advocacy. What do you advise that I do to get me started?
So 1 second. Yeah, I think I'm seeing that question here.
Yeah.
Yes. So honestly, I came to DevRel from a software engineering technical writer role. And yeah, even in DevRel, I worked for a long time, for like a year. I worked as a docs engineer fully before moving to a DevRel engineer role. And the thing is, yeah, you can. But again, I'd like to advise something, right? When it comes to DevRel, you need to actually know the product. That's the entire point. You need to know the product enough that you can talk about the product to other people, figure out what their problems are with the product, proper solutions to them concerning that product. And that is something to point out, right? Thinking about that you have the software skills and you're choosing like an industry to get into. Yeah, sure. I mean, you can do that. But the first thing I like to point out is that you would first of all start with really creating content as much as you can. Try to get a community skill, I would say. It could be managing a community, being an active member of a community, a core team member of a community, right? And the next thing would be to try as much as you can to maybe get speaking skills, speak at a couple of conferences, just do something around that nature.
All right, all right. I hope that answers your question. Create as much content as you can. I mean, you're already writing, right? So you can also like do your technical writing and everything, and also get speaking skills. Oh, thank you so much, Fortune. I love how in depth you're answering these questions. Myself, that is not asking the questions. I'm getting the information. So thank you. Okay, so oh, as someone have put in the chat, we said developer hate to be sold to. Why don't create developer marketing role? I mean, it's a good question. Like, why don't create it? But yeah, okay. So I have one question for you, Fortune. And it goes thus. So, in your experience, what do you think is the key challenges that is being faced by organization in effectively implementing developer relations or developing developer marketing programs? Like, what do you think is the challenges? You know how the both of them have like a thin line between them. So, what do you think is the problem when these companies are trying to create programs as related to each of them like differently? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're basically trying to ask, what do I think is like the give me a second. You're trying to find out the issues the companies have with reaching out to developers, right? Is
Yeah,
that correct? Yeah.
yeah,
So I think the former person who said developers here to be sold to already answers it. So as a company, there has the need to be profitable, right? And you
yeah,
can't be profitable without selling something. It could be a service, a product, an idea, anything. And again, your users are not exactly regular users, I would say. They have to use this. They have to be the ones to fight the bugs that come from using your product, of which there are release bugs. And the first thing a lot of companies I see do is that there's a need to sell the product. Like, oh, use this is better, it's the best. That is, there's this saying in software that there's no best. It's a use case thing. So there is not exactly a best feature product. It could be a use case thing, right? But of course, you also have to sell it or market it. And that is where dev marketers come in. The entire idea is to find out where are developers staying, what do they want, what are they building, and how does our product fit in, right? And this kind of like covers half of the issues already. If you find out where developers are, it could be on Twitter. Okay, fine. What are developers building on right now? AI, I would say. There's a need to incorporate AI to basically every product on the horizon right now, right? So how would our product do this, or how would our product help developers in doing this? And this is where if you can answer all of these thoughts comfortably, then I think you would already know how to go about reaching your developers, marketing your product to them, making sure they stay connected to your product. I don't know if that answered your question, but again, this is a
yeah.
personal opinion, so do not try.
It's okay. It's you. I mean, you gave like a very very decent answer. So thank you so much. Another question is up, and Koha is asking, what will you focus on for the first 30, 60, 90 days as a new DevRel hire now?
Bro, like for the first 30 days, you're focused on knowing the product. You're not, I don't think you're expected to do anything else because the first 30 days you're like what they call onboarding period. And this is where they get to show you the ropes of the product, the company. There's usually like an onboard kit where you get to maybe read, build a few things to the product, answer questions. If you have a manager, you get to ask him questions, or he gets to have weekly one-on-ones or bi-weekly one-on-ones where you iron out what the issues you have with the products, right? The next 30 days, you're slowly getting into the mix of the product. And usually, what a lot of companies do is that they hook you up with maybe writing content, right, about the product. It could be like, oh, by the way, this is this idea that we have. Try to figure it out and write something on it. Just something small scale, not something really heavy. But then when you do, it reinforces what you've learned in the first 30 days, right, of onboarding. And the 90 days now when you're now expected to, okay, fine, you can now write articles, you know the products. What do we do? Or this is what we want you to figure out as a hire, right? And this is so you can go back, make some based on what you've done these first 30 days, you can give us an idea of what you think is better or how we can solve this, right? And I think that's usually like the timeline. But again, this differs company to company. Some companies do 60 days of onboarding. Again, this totally depends, honestly. However, it's usually around this lineup.
All right. Thank you, Koha. Hope you've heard. Ask as much questions as possible to get you started. And at least the more you know, the more comfortable you are to like how is it called, to the more comfortable for you to really perform whatever role that it is, and in this aspect, the role. So yeah, another question is, what opportunities are there for growth and development in the developer relationships team? Okay, developer relations team.
So the at first you join as a DevRel in or DevRel maybe advocate or whatever. There's like it depends on again the company. There's a group thing like scale. You're like P3 or L1, whatever skill you're using to monitor growth, right? And of course you could go from there to maybe go to P4, P5, maybe like Dev Advocate 2, meaning you can now handle certain things comfortably with little to no oversight. You get to manage at level where you get to manage other people in your team, and at that stage, you're like just managing folks, doing DevRel, also doing manager related things. Yeah, and of course, for manager, you could go to lead, you could go to staff. There's like a growth line. But again, the thing about DevRel is that the growth line depends mostly on the company itself, right? Its entire plan for the DevRel team, what are they trying to achieve? So that could really influence how you get to grow in that field, right?
Yeah. In summary, the growth line depends on the company, to be honest. Depends on the
Basically,
company you're working with. Yeah.
yeah.
Literally, like in summary, yeah. Okay, we have another question from George. It says, if you were to start your career again in DevRel, what would you do differently?
That is a really good question. I think the question would be do the dev role before you actually join the company. Like, I mean, it sounds
This
like
is
a really simple sentence, but yeah, it's a true. Like, do the dev role thing, right? In this case, let the dev thing be you. So this could be marketing yourself, create as much content as you can create, learn as much things as you can, learn about content marketing, learn about DevRel marketing, try to market yourself, speak at as many events as you can speak at, improve your skill set, build as many things as you can build, learn a wide range of things. Right? There's a growing thing going on with people doing maybe like JavaScript or CS and just like jump into DevRel. That is fine. I'm not gonna get skip, please. However, as much as you can learn a wide range of things, right? So when this the benefit to this is that when you join the company, it helps you with how you go about problem solving, how you go about reaching engineers, right? How you go about providing solutions to not just the company but to your developers too. So I think that would is basically what I'd like to say on that. Like do the developer thing before you even join. Build many things, speak at events, market yourself as much as you can.
yeah, probably like prepare yourselves as much as possible for the opportunity. Yeah.
Yes, yes, really, really
Good.
important.
Good advice. Thank you, Fortune. Do we have one more last question? Oh, we have one. So Koha is asking. Oh, is he asking? Okay, yeah, he's asking. He said, DevRel is hard to measure. I'd love to hear
Mhm.
your thoughts and opinions on that phrase and the way to navigate around that clause in the DevRel landscape.
So if you're on Twitter and you feel like a number of devils, there's always like these statements coming up all the time. And the truth is that it is what it is. I don't want to say it's a true and a lie, like, but the truth is that it is very, very correct, right? Because of the fact that devil kind of is like a field where you don't see the benefits now, right? You probably see the benefits in a year from there, or the next 6 months or thereabouts, right? There is no specific way to be like, unlike other systems where there's like KPI, there's metrics, there's all those things that you can use to measure growth, measure adoption. With DevRel, the benefits come in a period of time after the DevRel strategy has been implemented. I don't know if that makes sense. For example,
Yeah.
if you redefine your content marketing strategy, you start creating certain kind of content, you do better. In the next 6 months, you notice a drop in support tickets, right? Relating to maybe your documentation, right? Because they already solved that problem for developers. And this would not be seen if you just started it like a month, right? There's still be like a lot of things. So DevRel is not exactly very hard to measure, but I'll say it takes a while to measure, basically, because you'd have to take a bit of time to now see the benefit of your advocates going to conferences and speaking at events, right? Maybe 4 months, 6 months, like, oh, there's more sign-ups from these and all of those things, right? It just takes a bit of time to measure DevRel comfortably, unlike certain other fields, I would say. I don't know if that answers your question. And again, this is just my thoughts on it, basically.
Yeah, thank you. Cool. I hope that answers your questions. It's like really, really in-depth field. So I hope if I keep asking questions, you never leave. I mean, you have time. I have so many. Okay, you get to ask one more so that we wrap it up. It's
Yeah, I mean, you can just tag me
what?
on Code
Yeah,
Dog on Twitter, and then
yeah.
we can continue all of this anytime.
Yeah, I mean, you can always follow Fortune on his socials. He's on Twitter. This is your Twitter handle, right? Code Dog.
Yes,
Why
Code
Code
Dog.
Dog? Sorry, this is so out of the question, but Code Dog. But anyways, you can
Yeah,
follow.
I think I got that idea from I've forgotten who, but I think it was like Shedrack. Or who. And so Shedrack had like this back in the day. He had this name Kodak Black. I don't know if he sees it. And then
Yeah.
I'm like Kodak Black, but he's not even black. And then I'm like kind of a dog person. Like I said, I used to have a dog,
Yeah.
and I still have a cat, I would say. But yeah, so I said, okay, cool. We can just use code dog. You can't use
Oh,
dog code, but that doesn't make sense. But code dog, cool. And then I saw someone already had code dog, so I'm like, okay, fine, code dog underscore. Maybe in the future I'll change this. I don't know. But right now it's basically still the same thing. Code dog, really.
okay, no problem. Makes sense. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Anyways, we are literally like at the end of this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Fortune, for joining us. And like you all have heard, kindly follow Fortune on his Twitter handle at coddog underscore. Thank you everyone that have joined this webinar. I hope that you now can be able to literally like when they wake you up, you can be able to tell the difference between developer advocate and developer relations and marketer. And of course, stay tuned. If you are here, you should make sure to subscribe. If you have not subscribed to DX Mentorship YouTube, subscribe, put on the notification. You always have webinar every Saturday. And also like, I mean, you have learned something from this video, so you might as well as like this video. And yeah, stay tuned for next Saturday that we'll have another webinar with another amazing speaker. Of course, we always bring you platter of plenty things to feed on. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you do follow Fortune. Don't forget to do that. And if you have more questions, you can always ask him. And I trust that he will give you loads of information or give you the perfect answer for any question you ask him. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you, Fortune, for giving us being here, to be honest, and answering as much as you could and as best way as possible. So yeah, your favorite uncle, Stephanie and Alex, signing out. Bye guys.
Bye, Stephanie.
Bye, Fortune. Thank you guys. Bye.